morning, everybody. I'm so excited, honestly, because we are finally in fall. It's finally September, and not only does that mean way more interesting fashion, it also means that there are a lot more gallery shows. And in New York in September, there can be hundreds of gallery shows to go to, and that is certainly the case this year. COVID has not stopped us in that capacity. So there's a lot of exhibitions that I've already seen that are amazing, but there are some exhibitions that I want to take you along with today. And they're mostly in Tribeca and Chelsea. I'm being very ambitious today and hitting up two parts of the city. I normally only do one at a time just because any part of a city, whether it's Upper East Side, Chelsea, Tribeca, it can have a ton of gallery shows in just that area. But I'm really trying to get a lot of content today. And the reason behind that is because my friend Corban Harper, who is an incredible emerging designer, has agreed to lend me some clothes. He's also going to tag along, so you'll see him in the video. But yeah, I'm very excited to be wearing his clothes. I've loved his work forever, and he also has had a really exciting new award where Italian Vogue called him out as a part of their Vogue Talents for 2020, and he's one of 9 emerging designers that was chosen. Craziest part is he was the only American. It's my friend. So yeah, I just am very lucky to be able to wear his clothes. And this is one of his pieces, actually. I'll show you a little bit more in the cutaways what each piece looks like, but I've pulled a few different outfits to kind of correspond to the vibe of the neighborhood or particular artworks. The thing for me when I'm trying to pick out outfits when I go and see galleries is, before anything, well, obviously I want to look great. Who doesn't? But I also don't want it to distract too much from the artwork. A lot of people will say to me, they're like, how do you match the artwork so well? I'm like, I don't really wear color. I don't really wear pattern. It's pretty easy to match artwork when you're just dressed in neutrals. So definitely wanted something that was going to be really beautiful, visually interesting, but wasn't going to take away from the artwork, and his clothes are absolutely perfect for that. Recently, his newest line, I think it's going to be coming up, he's venturing into a lot of these gorgeous, just like crisp white button-ups with really interesting details, and they make you feel so chic. And so I think what I'd like to do is for Tribeca. Tribeca is a little bit of a casual, like uptown vibe, if that makes any sense. It's a complete contrast, I know, but I'm gonna wear some of these pants of his that are just a little more uptown. They're made out of this gorgeous fabric that's a little shiny, a little, but they have this cut that's kind of hip hop. They have these little side cutouts, and I love that you can see like the white shirt tucked in on the side. I think it looks kind of sporty and really just like a great contrast, essentially, to this like more formal fabric that you'd almost see sort of in a bridal, maybe potentially setting. Sorry, Corban, don't kill me for that. But it looks super cool, and I'm really excited to wear that to Tribeca. I'm also going to be pairing it with one of his button-up shirts with this really gorgeous ribbon detailing. Like I said, that's his signature demi-couture, just absolutely beautiful handmade details. Another thing that I did mention that I do love about his clothes, and that I try to do with all of my clothes, is be a lot more sustainable. And so if at all possible, I'm always trying to buy secondhand. I buy things from Tradesy, The Real. Honestly, that's just the best way to go. Not to mention it's also a little nicer on your pocketbook. But Corban is all about doing a small batch, being very responsible with production, and so I just feel like his values really align with mine. So I was very proud to be wearing his works as well for that reason. And then for Chelsea, I honestly want to do a little bit more edgy. Chelsea has galleries in a lot of, old warehouses and things like that. So I will be pairing one of another beautiful white shirt with my helmet laying leather trousers that I bought at The Real over the summertime. Who buys leather trousers in the summer? I do, and obviously I haven't been able to wear them until now, so I'm very excited to pair that with just some simple black Manolos with his gorgeous shirt. The thing I love that he has some detail on his shirts is sort of these like hanging ribbons at the bottom, and I wore one of his sweaters, I'll insert a picture of it, to the Upper East Side yesterday when we went to go see galleries, and honestly the draping and the hanging ties of his stuff mirrored the drips in the canvas just so elegantly, and so that was kind of a happy mistake, and I want to recreate that again. And so I'll be wearing this gorgeous high neck long sleeve, kind of almost silk, just very gorgeous from a texture perspective. I feel like in general my aesthetic actually is always to have more interesting, pair a lot of different textures, whether it's like leather, silks, knits, but just keep the color palette really neutral. And so yeah, I'm really excited to be wearing these clothes. And then I'll also be wearing them, keep an eye out for my vlog on our visit to the new museum, because I really wanted to dress it up for the new museum, and I will be wearing this exquisite, I will be packing a punch of color for that with this gorgeous red suit, but it was just too beautiful for me not to wear. And then I can't quite decide. I think I might wear what I'm wearing now actually to some galleries a little bit later this week for the Lower East Side. I loved originally when we had styled this dress with, again, that really gorgeous crisp white button up, but I kind of want to play it down a little and just go a little funky Lower East Side. I think it's really cool with just a white t-shirt too. And honestly, it's still a little bit hot in New York right now, which is really unfortunate. So I think I'm just gonna go for a t-shirt, but I think there's nothing sexier in a woman wearing, I mean, to each their own, but for me, I feel really sexy in a lot of menswear, a lot of really like high necked stuff. I have a very long chest area, which I feel like I just don't do well with like a strapless or an open chest. So these button-up shirts with like these very high necks, I'm living for. They're just fantastic. And so yeah, I will, now that I know what I'm wearing, I'm gonna go meet up with the guys. I'm meeting up with Corban and then also my friend Lewis, and we're gonna hit up galleries starting with Tribeca. So let's do this. I'm excited. So this is Bortolami Gallery. This is the first one we're gonna visit in Tribeca. And the thing I love about these Tribeca galleries is they're all in a row. You can really hit them all very quickly like you would in Chelsea, and they're just really beautiful on the inside. As you can see with this giant hallway that Bortolami greets you with, it's very grand. So this exhibit is an artist from Cleveland, Renee Green, and in this exhibition, she really plays with color, as you can see. There are 28 banners that are hanging in the gallery space, surrounded by frames, and what's in these banners and on these frames are words from poets Mae Swenson and Laura Writing Jackson. And you can just see how she really plays with color and honestly how it impacts the perception of these words. I love Corban shoes, so I'm just gonna keep zooming in on them. They're brother bellies and they are fabulous. Next up, we're heading to James Cohan Gallery, which is one of my absolute favorites in Tribeca. And they also have a location on the Lower East Side on Grant Street. This exhibit is one that honestly I've been looking forward to for such a long time. I'm such a fan of Trenton Doyle Hancock ever since I saw his exhibition in LA. And this exhibition is particularly powerful given the subject matter that it dives into and that it covers right now. And yeah, it's just incredible. Trenton is an American artist from Houston. And the thing that I love about his work is how he uses the sort of fictional universe that he's created called the Moundverse, and characters in it like Torpedo Boy, which are essentially a representation of himself,
to dive into really intense topics such as, American identity and cultural expression and frankly confronting, structures of white supremacy like figures from the Ku Klux Klan, and doing it in such a way that is very easy to digest at first, given that it's a very cartoon quality to his works, but still in a very powerful way. And it's almost in a way that a child sort of copes with trauma and with difficult things. These two massive works in the exhibit, like all of his works really, at first they look so beautiful from far away, and then you get closer and you see what are essentially these characters he's created called bringbacks, and they are horrible creatures. They have no mouth, huge eyes, and they're minions of this character of a mound named Junior. And what Junior does is he essentially gets these bringbacks to quite literally bring back, probably where the name came from, humans for him to eat. And so they're sort of just his little minions. And once you see that, it's quite jarring. But the other interesting thing about these paintings are the texture. So there's fur, there's paper, there's paint. I think the bottle caps are the most intriguing. It's not just bottle caps. You'll see caps of, Parmesan cheese containers and things like that. It's just visually very, very stimulating to look at these works. These paintings in here are directly referencing Philip Guston's paintings of the Klansmen that he did back in the 1930s. And Trendo Hancock inserted his character, Torpedo Boy, to really square off with these Klansmen and follow up with what Guston was doing, which was stripping them of their killer instinct. And this is so important right now, given everything, that's going on with the Guston retrospective that was supposed to take place, at these major museums and getting pushed. And I hope at some point that we're allowed to have this dialogue, because it's important. And I think Trento Hancock is a great example of having this dialogue very well. The thing I love about Andrew Kreps' gallery is this really inconspicuous entrance, frankly, that's in an alleyway in Tribeca. You would never know that there's this massive, beautiful, well-lit space on the other side, but it's a really stunning gallery. So this exhibition is by an artist named Kim Dingle, and honestly, this one hits kind of hard right now. It's a series of restaurant paintings, and given that we can't dine in New York, I'm sort of looking at these paintings very longingly. But the base of them comes from when Kim opened sort of her own restaurant in her LA studio in the 2000s, and it started out as just accommodating friends, coming over, wanting to have food, wanting to have drinks, and just kind of ballooned from there. And these paintings capture, these tasks of food prep and maintenance and cleaning and layouts and all of the things that come with the hustle and bustle of having a restaurant. And now we're at Canada Gallery, one of the first galleries actually from the Lower East Side that decided to make the leap over to Tribeca in this really beautiful space. This exhibit is by an American painter named Joan Snyder. She is 80 years old, and this is her first exhibit with the gallery. She's a powerhouse, to be honest, early feminist. Thank you for your service. And there's actually a very sweet story behind her relationship to the gallery as well. So in the early 90s, one of the founding partners of the gallery, Wallace Whitney, was actually her studio assistant and is still a mentor to him within the art world. And I love that. You can see that her artworks are very tactile, very colorful, but more importantly, Joan Snyder really started a dialogue about painting and what it meant to be a female artist, especially during the 70s, which was a very male-dominated time in the field. I mean, let's be honest, it still is. So there aren't a lot of Soho galleries, but Jeffrey Deitch, especially being right on the border of Tribeca, it's very easy to pop up and visit. This exhibit is curated by Austin Lee, and Austin's had a few shows at Jeffrey Deitch, as well as his gallery I think it's in Germany, Perez Projects. And Austin knows how to set a mood, so I knew this was going to be a good show. He knows how to set a vibe. And this particular exhibit was inspired by the John Baldessari painting, What is a Painting? And so the exhibit kind of dives into all of the artists that really influence Austin's work. And knowing that I love Austin's work, I knew I was gonna probably like a lot of these artists. Another thing to point out is you're seeing a lot of shows like this during this time. I think it's also important for galleries to show off their inventory a little bit more just because we are in an unknown time right now, and it's kind of more important to make sales than ever. So you're seeing a lot of group shows kind of leaking into fall, a lot of inventory being put out that may have been hidden in the past, not to discount, the theme of this exhibit, but I definitely think that plays into what's going on here. This is Lisson Gallery's new space. It is right next to their 24th Street location. So that brings them to a total of 3 spaces now in Chelsea, which actually isn't that uncommon for these blue chip galleries. So this is a UK artist, Ryan Gander, and he's apparently known for creating these I think Lisson dubbed it puzzles, and just kind of like that one person that's talking about something in a room and everyone's like, he's crazy, like what is he talking about? But yet you're also fascinated by him at the same time. I feel like that's what this exhibition and just Ryan Gander's work in general kind of conveys. I mean, he's got taxidermy cats, like what is happening? I'm dying, all these cats. What is happening?
Look.
Have the ability to reimagine situations in the past. For example, how to do something better.
Oh my god, that's so
How
cool.
to win an argument by saying the exact right thing at the exact right time. A principle
That's so good.
Now we're off to Metro Pictures Gallery. Metro Pictures is one of my favorite galleries in Chelsea. It's one of those that no matter what show they have, you know it's going to be a good one. They just have consistently great shows. And today is no exception. We are going to see Cindy Sherman, her photographs. Now, for full disclosure, I've never really come out and said this on my Instagram or anything, but I'm not a huge fan of photography personally. I know it definitely has its place within the art world, but personally, I'm just not that into it. Cindy Sherman's work is definitely the exception. She really creates these fantastical worlds where it's not just a point and shoot. She's creating characters. She's really getting you invested into the space. I mean, the costumes alone in these people in our exhibit are just really, really intriguing. It's such a vibe. Cindy Sherman usually plays with more female characters, so it's exciting to see her dive back into these male stereotypes and playing with gender in this exhibition. And she created these characters while she was traveling in Bavaria and Shanghai and England, and you can see that culture in the patterns, the textiles, sort of that male aristocratic character coming through. It's really fascinating. Finally arrived at Pace's compound in Chelsea, for lack of a better word. It is their massive gallery space. It's got 5 galleries, a terrace, offices. It's quite an accomplishment for Pace. It opened last year. And this is an exhibit by the French artist Jean Dubuffet. That was me trying to be really French. Hopefully that went over well. And he's one of those artists that you know who he is just by looking at this artwork. You may not know him, but he's very recognizable within art history. And he coined the term art brut, so we can thank him for that. And here was a model that he created for a plaza. He's done quite a few installations where he melded painting, sculpture, architecture perfectly to really create these pieces that live in cities all over the world. On the 3rd floor of Pace's complex is an exhibition by the Japanese artist, which you probably will recognize, Yoshitomo Nara. And he's really well known for these characters that he creates. These big eyes, very sinister, very playful at the same time though. And this exhibition was meant to coincide with his show at LACMA in LA, but that's been postponed until further notice because of COVID. But this exhibit really centers around how drawing and sketching, how important it is to the artist and how it's really at the center of his practice. And it also gives us, as the viewer, a little bit of insight into his creative process and how he creates these works. And you can see that a lot of these sketches are a lot more casual than, obviously his fully done paintings. They're done on cardboard, they're done with pens, with paint. But I kind of love that irreverence, as Corban said. There is something very irreverent about it, which makes me like it even more. Has a really beautiful library space, which they also sometimes have exhibitions in. And we were lucky because today there was indeed an exhibition by an artist named Nina. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce her last name, but I'll put it on the screen. And the exhibition is titled Monument to the Unelected and covers, frankly, the political road not taken. And this is extremely important and timely given that we have elections coming up in America in November, and hopefully, I don't know, maybe Trump's name will be on this wall in the future, but we'll see. This is our final exhibition of the day, and honestly, we could not have ended it on a better one. This is at Pace Gallery's only location that's not a part of their large complex, but it's right down the street. This is an exhibit of paintings by Julian Schnabel, and oh my god, I mean, I'm such a sucker for a huge painting, and this was honestly probably my favorite show from Chelsea today. I think the other reason I'm so attracted to these paintings is that they were painted in Montauk, and Montauk is just one of the most beautiful places. I mean, you can kind of pick up on the references now with the waves and sails and yeah, I love how he, plays into these really irregular canvas shapes. And actually this fabric, which covers the supports, it's not a traditional canvas. It's fabric that covers the fruit market in Mexico, or the fruit markets that you traditionally see in Mexico. And if you didn't know that about me, I absolutely love Mexico City. I love the markets. I love that vibrant culture. So with the combination of references to Montauk and Mexico, totally explains why I'm completely just taken away by this exhibit.
Oh, I'm back. We had such a good day. We had such a good time. Oh my gosh, look at this girl. I saw so many good shows, and you know when you go out and it was very humid today, and I'm feeling really sticky and kind of gross, so I'm actually really excited to take a shower and get into some comfy clothes and enjoy the rest of my Saturday. Probably gonna organize some photos and stuff from today. I think my favorite show in Chelsea was the Julian Schnabel at Pace. I just am such a sucker for a big piece of artwork. Like by default it just wins because it sort of envelops you when you walk in. And in Tribeca, I think my favorite was Canada Gallery. That was a pretty cool show. So this chick and I are gonna hang out, and maybe I'll take a bath. That sounds good. I think I'm gonna take a bath. But yeah, let me show you the city. It looks beautiful, absolutely beautiful. What a gorgeous day. All right, on that note, see you guys next time.